welcome to another Creativity Booster. I'm Patricia Dubroff, and I'm here with Assisting Hands Home Care, where we believe very strongly in supporting our families and our caregivers by providing opportunities, doses of creativity, because we all know the science that creativity leads to wellness. And so we wanted to give you this 15-minute opportunity. And today it's going to be all about gathering a story, and we're honoring veterans today as a precursor for the Veterans Day holiday this Friday and Saturday. And to that end, we have our lovely Linda Stai back from Book Chat. You might remember her from watching one of our book chats. Linda has written a wonderful book of gathering stories from veterans and creating a really nice narrative. And, when you ask somebody to tell their story, that's an opportunity for them to heal as well. So Linda, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yay. And so I just wanted you to tell folks a little bit about why you wrote that book and how it got started. And then we're going to do a quick little sample of how Linda gets the story. So
when my husband and I got married about 40 years ago, he was telling me stories about his time in Vietnam. And I thought that I really needed to get these down on paper. They were amazing stories. And the years went by and it just didn't seem like the right time. And I started writing other books. But then we started going to reunions with my husband's people from the cavalry that he was in, the 5th Battalion, 7th Cav. And I heard their stories too. And I realized it's not just my husband's story that needs to be told, it's all of these men. And so I interviewed 11 veterans, including my husband, all of them personally, except one who wasn't at a reunion. So I interviewed him by mail. And I got tremendous stories from them. They ran from infantry to high-level officers. And each story is so unique. In fact, one person said he didn't want to be in the book because he thought that his stories would be told by others, but that's not true. I wish he had been in the book because every person's story is so precious. And here's the book. I just happen to have it here. Remember Me, it's my husband's picture on the front. And it's been quite a success. People have called me, emailed me, texted me, veterans telling me if they were in the book or not in the book and received it as a gift, that it had something to do with their healing. I could even hear it in their voices, that being able to tell their stories or being able to identify with the men's stories in this book had made a tremendous difference in their lives. And one man even told me he hasn't talked about the war for 50 years, but now that he received the book, his wife is reading it, and he wanted a couple more to give to his boys.
That's beautiful.
So I really seen the example, like Patricia said, it really brings healing to get those stories out.
So tell us the secret sauce. Like, how do you start a conversation? I'm going to challenge my audience to go forth and find a veteran to ask these questions. So first of all, you have to make sure that the veteran wants to tell his story, right?
Yes.
So what do you ask first? How do you get that started?
Well, first of all, I just try to make some kind of a bonding connection with them, which in my case is easy because my husband was a veteran. And just mainly let them know that I am really interested in their story. I think when most people know that someone wants to hear about them, that they're quite willing to open up. And I start by just saying something like, tell me about your experience in Vietnam. And then as they are starting, I try to guide the conversation and just ask specific questions like, what was your day like there? How did you feel most of the time? What made you feel? When were you the most afraid? When did you laugh? Because there is humor in life, in all kinds of situations in life. It's a mixture of humor and tragedy. So just little questions like that
Those are huge questions. And I'm sure I was listening to some information about how important it is to let the silences lead to the comfort of the person to tell you the story. So even if they don't answer right away, you're supposed to sort of sit back and listen for another minute before you jump in with another question.
That's right. Often we'll be prompted to start sharing something that they might not have brought up otherwise.
And what I noticed in the stories that you gathered, it's not only you know, I did this today, but it's the weather and the smells and how the sounds around them sounded. There's a whole, it makes the narrative complete. So how do you get that kind of information?
Well, I think part of it, one thing I have found is really helpful, just kind of repeating something back to them. Like they will make a comment and I'll say, I can understand how that would be frightening or whatever. And just something like that lets them know for sure that they are being heard and validated. And it encourages them to just keep on going. I didn't actually have to ask a lot of pointed questions once they got started. I
Mm.
mostly had to try to guide the conversation. And I
Now,
wasn't afraid of letting them go off on a tangent either sometimes, because that would sometimes lead to another aspect that would make the book even more inspiring or deep.
so did you have a recording device or did you just take notes? Were they
Mm.
comfortable?
I did both. I always let them know that I was recording. They were fine with that. But I also took notes because I didn't want to depend on either one of them. And one thing I found is really important, that I had to look them in the eye because any kind of a distraction could break the tone of their narrative. And so when I was taking notes, I would just scribble furiously and then number my pages. And when the pages were full, I'd just throw it on on the floor and keep on going. So I could not break that eye contact because that was so important. And then afterwards, of course, I would rewrite my notes quickly while I could understand the scribbles. But the taping was really good because there were some things that was hard to get in the notes and sometimes hard to get on the tape, and I could use one or the other to help clarify it. And particularly if I wanted to do quotes, I knew when I listened to the tape that my quote was accurate, because accuracy was so important. It was very important to get their stories down on paper. And another thing that I tried to do is never to show shock or dismay. I mean, I could identify with sadness, of course, but I just had to remember this is their story. Whatever happened to them, I just wanted them to feel comfortable and know that my listening and my concern, my care for them was unconditional. I just wanted to hear what they had gone through. And to me, when I hear someone else's story, it's like getting a glimpse into their soul, and that is very precious. We all have stories, and there's a lot of elderly people that need just that little bit of encouragement in someone else's busy day to open up and share freely.
Well, it's beautiful. Well, I'm going to suggest that we do just like a 3-minute interview role play.
Sure.
And I promise I'll answer truthfully. I am not a veteran, so I can't do a veteran story.
Mhm.
But my dad was a veteran.
Yeah,
Um,
but this
but
applies to
you
anyone.
ask your questions and I'll answer as best I can. And we'll just do a couple,
All
rounds.
right. Okay, well, first of all, Patricia, I'd just like to hear about yourself. What things are most important to you?
Hmm. Well, I guess that I'm an artist and I was trained in the field of arts and healing. And so that's really what drives everything I do, from my work with home care to my family to my friends. It's all interconnected,
That sounds like that's really a passion and a purpose for you. Um,
definitely.
how do you direct these activities? What is your plan? What is your future goal
Hmm. Well,
for the
that's a
rub?
big one. Um, well, I guess my my real goal is just to get people to stop being so mean, and I think
Mm,
part of that is because they're all living in fear and their own um dis-ease.
mhm.
So I try to use art as a way to connect with people and have them take a break and restore their energy so that they can be the positive person that I believe all creatures really are.
I think that's really insightful, that people need to just get out of themselves and out of their issues and problems and get into something else for
Yeah.
relief.
And
Yeah.
when you make art, it does take you out of your logical mind and puts
Mhm,
you into what I call the beta energy. So you're kind of feeling that, oh, I can relax. I don't have to make choice, I don't have to be right or wrong. Everything I do in art is good. So
mhm.
even if you don't like the end result of it, the process is so good for you. So
So
that's what I try to spin.
how do you feel it helps you personally? when you do this art with
Yeah,
other people?
actually, that's what keeps me sane. I teach from knowing. I mean, if I'm not making art, if I'm not being creative, then I too get short-tempered and annoyed at things
Mhm.
easily. But when I'm actually engaging in creativity and I get my dose of creativity a day, then I can be super helpful.
Yes. I'm interested in how you share this talent with your family, your children.
Oh, well, yeah. So, for instance, my mom just turned 95,
Mhm.
and we put together a string quartet concert for her because there was nothing being performed around her birthday.
Mhm.
And 40 people attended, and they all got an hour's dose of creative musical energy, and it just lifted
Mhm.
the spirit of every single person there. It was amazing.
That's an
So
amazing, what a gift.
incredible, and it just takes a little organizing and off we go. So this was good. This was a nice little
Mhm.
sample. At the end of the conversation, would you have like a special roundup, or was there like a culminating thing that you would ask?
I think I just like to kind of reiterate what I said earlier about how every person has a story. And the more that we share these stories with each other and take time to listen, we have that bond, like you were talking about, people not being mean to each other. The more you hear someone else's story, the more you're apt to understand where they're coming from and what their feelings and their motives are. And I believe that that bonds us together as human beings.
I think that is super deep. I love it. So I've been putting things in the chat for folks to look at, and it will also, since this was recorded, this will also get edited and put back together and be on our website for anybody who would like to listen and learn that really you do this so easily. You make it seem so easy to ask the questions
I'm a natural listener.
and question asker,
Yeah,
journalist, your
yeah,
curiosity.
yeah.
So I really appreciate you being here today, Linda, and I
Thanks for
wish
the
you and your family
opportunity.
a
Oh,
very happy Veterans Day.
thank you.
May it be a day of joy.
Thank you, Patricia.